Welcome to the United Show, and it's the review of the Manchester United versus Liverpool game on Monday. And we actually have a special guest with us today. Farrell, Keeling, how are you doing today?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. It's a pleasure having the Liverpool supporter on in a game which is going to be so difficult for us, I believe. But Garth, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. I won't go over pleasure having a Liverpool fan on, but it's nice to see you, mate. You know,
Likewise,
nice
likewise.
to see you. Worried. That's what I am, Nath. Worried about Monday. That's what I am, mate.
Yeah, it is a bit of a scary one, but as we was just going live, Casemiro deal gets completed, so we're quite happy with that. At least we've got someone to to shore up that midfield. But again, he's probably not going to be ready for Monday for sure. So he needs to get visa sorted, and he needs to obviously play before he needed to have signed before midday today, wasn't it? So
yeah,
he's going to play. But Farrell, one question for you is, how do you feel the start of the season for Liverpool has gone so far? Must not be too happy.
No. Far from happy. It's been, to be completely honest with you, heading into it, I didn't think it would be a sort of a perfect start, so to speak. You know, we've had some sort of major outgoings. Obviously, Sadio Mane being the main one we brought in, a highly rated. There's certainly not quite Premier League proven striker in Darwin Nunez, and there was that incident, which of course I'm sure we'll come to later on. But yeah, I think it's not been the perfect start, but I think I personally find it a bit baffling. We've already had questions like, you know, there's 4 points now between. Beg your pardon. We have 4 points between Liverpool and Manchester City. Is the title race already been decided, which is absolutely ludicrous after game week 2, I find. Yeah, I think not far from being a perfect start from Liverpool, but I think I'm reasonably optimistic that we can turn things around over the course of the season.
I didn't watch either Liverpool game, Farrell. What's Nunez looking like? Apart from obviously getting mind trapped into headbutting someone, has he looked decent, worth the money so far for you?
I mean, the opening 2 sort of competitive games, the Community Shield, it looked absolutely fantastic. I was a bit disappointed, really, with Crystal Palace. He had the chances. You kind of think if he gets that, there was an element of frustration sort of creeping in before the headbutt. And you almost think, I think there was that first half chance, absolutely beautiful ball from Harvey Elliott. He gets it right on the edge of the box, hits one, and I think it hits the post. I think you almost think he gets that goal. There's that element of relaxation because he came on against Fulham and completely changed the game. Got the assist for Salah. It was a bit of an easy assist. Superb trickery with the goal. You almost felt sort of going into that second game against Palace. You can really establish yourself here with an incredible performance at home in front of all the fans in the Kop, and it just didn't quite go his way, and now we're sort of left with this difficult situation. But obviously, he's suspended for 3 games. We're without Diogo Jota. Firmino's fortunately going to be available for Old Trafford, but it's not been quite the start, I guess. Well, certainly not. We'd hoped in terms of that suspension and the headbutt, which I think the players come out and acknowledge. This was idiotic. I will do better. And I think there'll be plenty of managers after this that are going, go on, get in his head. He's got a moment in him, just get in his head, see what you can get out of it.
He's got that South American fire in his belly. So.
I mean, I'd be surprised if it happens again, though. I think lesson learned, and I think it's almost, I suppose, not controversial, but you'd rather it happen now, at this stage in the season, if it's going to happen, because the reality is, it's likelihood of it, the season's going to be ending on another point of sort of fine margins. Do you want potentially your best striker out for the last 3 games of the season, or would you rather be 4 points away from City, 2 games in, and accept, okay, we'll take our licks for this. He'll come back. He'll learn from this. He'll have been in the gym, Klopp said, sort of working on his physicality and go from there.
Yeah, look, he's It's never decided now. That's for sure. One thing for sure. When I saw him in the Charity Shield, I think it was a Charity Shield game, wasn't it? Where he's come on and he's looked a beast. To be fair, he's looked really, really good. Scored his goal and just looked like he was going to cause danger and havoc all over the place. That actually caused me to change my dream team because he's strong. And I was thinking, okay, I know he's a guy who misses quite a few chances, but he puts himself in a position to get those chances. And when someone does that, it's like an Andy Cole situation. When you get that amount of chances, you're still going to put away some anyway. So yeah, he does look dangerous, and I'm happy that he's not playing. We have looked at Bush, and he would have definitely took advantage of us for sure. But what we've done today, we look out toward the presser. I've watched the Man United presser, listened to Ten Hag. I'm assuming Klopp has also been on a presser, and you've probably heard what he's had to say. So before we talk about what's happened with our side, I'd like to hear what Klopp's actually had to say about this game moving forward on Monday.
I think Klopp's been... You expect the sort of general questions in terms of, well, United have been hammered 4-0 by Brentford, so, you must be thinking, oh, yes, we're going to get right into this. I think Klopp's sort of gone, well, no, it's absolutely ludicrous to suggest that. And, even having... we've got the historic win at Old Trafford last season. We'll be very much looking to replicate that feat.
I remember that.
I personally don't think it will happen. I think he sort of very much said, don't underestimate United. And I think what's interesting is he seems to almost refer to the psychology around the game, because obviously we're coming in with 2 draws, you're coming in with 2 losses. Both teams have yet to get 3 points, and United are in a position here where if you win the game, you go ahead of Liverpool. But then obviously Liverpool are then potentially 7 points behind Manchester City in the title race. And if we're already having questions now about whether Liverpool out the title race, can you imagine what people will be saying after that? Equally, of course, Liverpool win. I'd assume City will win their next game. If they don't, it'll be interesting. But then you're 4 points away still after game week 3. You finally got your 3 points. You kind of go, okay, right. Because we played well against Palace. It was a completely night and day difference in terms of performance against Fulham to Palace. So you think you build on that, get a result at Old Trafford, which I think will be a lot harder this time around for the record than it was last season, regardless of the Brentford result.
If you do lose to United on Monday and you're 7 points behind City, for me, that's almost insurmountable for City. Even though it's only 3 games in, I can't see
at this early stage.
It's 7 points on City. I can't see City losing more than 2 games this year with the way that their team is so strong in my mind. It really puts the pressure on Liverpool to pick it up. I'm not saying you couldn't do it, but surely doubts must be coming in if you're 7 points behind after 3 games. You know what I mean?
But it's another thing though. Not only do you have to catch up to 7 points, you have to not lose any more games and lose any more ground to them as well. So it's far too early to have 7 point gap, if you get what I mean, with the same games played, with the way you guys have been performing of the previous seasons. Like, you've not dropped points at all, really, throughout the whole season. So it's crazy the amount of the level of points you guys have got. It's been unbelievable. So hats off to you both to be that far ahead of everyone else, to be fair.
I suppose the thing we have to consider as well, right? Even if we do lose at Old Trafford, I simply, not even from a purely biased standpoint, from an objective standpoint, I refuse to believe Liverpool's season, as far as the title is concerned, is over. Because I remember, if we cast our minds back to the prior season, and things were looking a bit sort of topsy-turvy before the second half of the season, and people were already ruling Liverpool out of the title race by that point. And then, what would you know? After that point, we came down to literally a point. On the last day of the season, there was a hot second there, wasn't there, where we looked like, oh my God, we could actually do this. Villa are getting a result. I mean, I was shocked, to be honest with you, but it looked for a second there. It was in the grass. It was in the grass, wasn't it? I think we hadn't scored by that point. So everyone was like, could you imagine if City lose and we hand them the title by not scoring against Wolves? But I think, it's far too... I understand, because this is ultimately a season. I think 2 of the last 4 seasons have been decided by fine margins, by literally a point between Liverpool and Manchester City. So I understand the concerns, but I think it's just ridiculous to be suggesting this early that there's any chance Liverpool will be out of the title race, because you don't know what's going to happen. And the thing we have to consider is the World Cup. We don't know what impact that's going to have on the restart.
Injuries as well. And you're playing each other twice still, so you haven't played them yet. So that's 6 points there anyway. So until those games get played, I guess, you never know.
It might be ridiculous to count Liverpool out, but after 3 games, it's not ridiculous to count Man United out after 3 games. I can assure you of that. We ain't winning no title. That ain't happening this season.
We know that. We know that. But let's not be too down today, because we got the good news coming for this game as well. But Garth, obviously you saw the presser for United as well. What did you
fair,
think?
I only read it, to be fair, and it was quite short, weren't it, what he come out
Yeah,
with?
it was a quick one. So,
yeah.
what did you think of how he was going on?
I think he's annoyed with the Ronaldo questions now. Clearly, he's done with that conversation. I still, like I said yesterday on the show, I would let him go. I really would. If Stevenson, if we could get rid of him, I would get rid of him. I would. But the other thing, Martial's back, hopefully, and
He is back. He's back in training.
That doesn't mean he's going to play on Monday, obviously. But I want to see that front three that we've done so well in the pre-season games, not just against Liverpool, but all through the pre-season, play in the Premier League and see if it helps his style of play, like we were talking about last night, and really helps the free-flowing play that he wants to. Because at the moment, it ain't working with Ronaldo in that central position. Rashford is not performing on the left, period. Yeah. So, yeah, I think he's getting frustrated, though.
Yeah, well, here's another thing. I think that he's going to change quite a bit because of the way he spoke was like most of the players didn't even give the effort. There's near enough everyone didn't even give the effort. So I'm expecting some radical changes, like you know what we don't expect, like a Mcguire to get moved out maybe, and then try someone else in there. I'm not sure if it will be Martinez with Varane or Bailly and Varane, and then Martinez in the midfield. You never know. So I'm curious to see what he changes it. Then I'll be able to know how we're gonna fare. But against, I'm just happy that Martial's back because he makes Rashford and Sancho and everyone else play better because of what he brings to the team. So I think it's going to be a much more difficult game if he plays. But if he doesn't play, and depending on who he picks, this could be very, very easy for Liverpool. That's what I think.
I can see me. Farrell, let me ask you, Harry Mcguire, do you, obviously as Man United fans, we're fully like now almost done with him as like he seems to really perform badly. Do you get the same perception of him as an outsider looking in, or do you think it's harsh the way he's spoken of now?
It's a bit of both. I think. No, honestly, I think he's. If we're going to and it's a harsh comparison, but if we're going to compare him to say Van Dijk,
well, he's not because he's the most expensive centre back in the world.
Yeah,
so,
but you know, not anywhere near in terms of quality. I think it's harsh to the extent I think he's a better defender than he's currently being portrayed. I think at his absolute best, he's a lot better than the performances. I mean, you'll both be far more familiar than I am. But from what I've seen, from a very much an outside perspective, it's he's presented as like the clown in your back line.
That was
it's harsh, but I think it's the reality in the sense of you're seeing Ten Hag bringing in Martinez, and I think it's interesting because obviously the thing that has been made by a lot of neutrals as well. He's tiny. How's he going to fare against some of really sort of impressive physical strikers? But we had a similar situation at Liverpool when Klopp first came in. We had players that simply needed to go. I think Klopp sort of sang their praises. You had people like Alberto Moreno, who, is a good defender, but shouldn't really be your first choice defender at a club like Liverpool. You had Andy Robertson then come in. He didn't play for like half the season. I think Moreno got injured. Robertson came in, established the position as his own. That's very much going to be the sort of case with signings like Malaysia and Martinez. I think, didn't he have a higher... there's a stat I was looking at the other day. It was very impressive about Martinez, I think, compared to Mcguire. Yeah, it's one more aerial duels per night than Mcguire last season. And you're thinking, what, he's 5'9". 5'9". Very impressive. Obviously, it's a completely different league. You don't know how that's going to impact the transition. I think we've seen earlier, I think he was at fault partly for Brentford's first goal, wasn't he? He didn't close the space quickly enough. Obviously, De Gea should have saved that sort of speculative shot, you'd argue. But yeah, no, sorry, I seem to have sidetracked a bit there.
But,
no. Yeah, I think the perception around Mcguire is partly fair, but partly over. I think he's a better defender than how he's been portrayed at his absolute best. Obviously, the question is can Ten Hag get him back to his best? How do the pair of you sort of feel about him? Do you think his days are kind of over, or do you feel that Ten Hag can get some of the best out of him?
I'll start this one, Garth. No. I think when he first came to the side, I couldn't see how he would improve the side because I didn't see him as better than Smalling or Jones as a defender. Maybe he's, better in the air at one thing or better, you know, in the air, I thought he might bring more goals as a defender from set plays and stuff. But apart from that, I didn't see how he could improve us, and we're paying so much money for him. So when he came in, and then he had quite a good season. We played counter-attack football. We sat back, didn't allow no space. But now we're playing more of a progressive football where we're pushing up and we're trying to play, you know, on the front foot. We can't do that because he just cannot handle that kind of football. And when there's space behind him, he can't. He's incapable of doing it. So for him, he needs to be at a side where it doesn't matter to be like, you know, when you're playing against the big boys and you can sit back and defend, and then you could catch the team and score and win. That's one thing. But you're Man United now. You have to be able to be up there and be able to handle one-on-ones from a Vardy or someone. He can't do that. I believe he's best suited in a team like Leicester, in a team like a Newcastle now who are coming up, and a West Ham where they can do that kind of stuff. He's perfect for that. He's not a Man United player. Unfortunately, he's not good enough. Even at his best, he can't handle the pace. And that's what we notice in every time. You're getting done over by players. Once they're over a certain level of ability, he can't handle it. And I just want to see him move on. And because it's unfair on him as well, because he now feels like, I'm playing not the best, but I'll be back. I'll be better next time. He won't, because he can't get there. It's like asking someone to do something that you can't do and getting mad at him for not doing it. You can't get mad at him. It's not his fault. He's just not good enough. So yeah, that's my kind of understanding. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's exactly the same. You know that, Nate. It's exactly the same for me as well. I think the time has come now that, as much as I appreciate some of his defensive abilities, it doesn't suit our team. The problem is no one's going to buy him. Like on the wages he's on, we certainly would drop 50% in value immediately. No one's going over 40 mil for him, are they? So it becomes a financial decision almost, you know. And that's the problem. That's the problem with Man United for a long time now. Financial decisions are running decisions on the pitch, I feel, a lot of the time. So no, yeah, look, I think the hate he gets is a little harsh. But if you go back for a few of these videos, mate, I'm going to be one of the prime suspects for dishing it out. So after a game, you know what I mean. So I'm being a bit of a hypocrite, really. But you know, when the emotions run in, I'm just as bad as everyone else in digging him out for his foulies. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Well, this is exactly what Smithy's saying here. We need a workman-like midfield against Liverpool, otherwise they will overrun us. Now, that's what I mean. The reason why he's saying that is because if Mcguire was playing, even with Martinez, I don't think Martinez can handle it with Mcguire. So that would be very difficult against your boys for sure. So we need to have pace in that back line. We need it. Otherwise, we're going to be absolutely annihilated. So it all depends on what the rest of the team is then, because then you have to play a McTominay and probably a Fred with him, just so you can become strong defensively. So that's extra men and there's less people going forward. So it's going to kill our game going forward and also kill our game defensively. So it's very, very difficult when you got this. And that's why I want to see Erik ten Hag make bold decisions and pick the right players, the best players for the job. And I think we have them in the squad, but they're just not getting used. I want to see Malacia play. I want to see Varane play. I want to see Bailly get played. Them players can defend one-on-one. Even today, and Monday, I want to see Aaron Wan-Bissaka play so he can defend properly. Like, I don't care about going forward against Liverpool. Defend your man, and he can probably be the only guy who's going to stop your left winger, Luis
Diaz.
Yeah. He's the only guy who's going to be able to stop him, because Dalot definitely won't be able to.
But do you reckon it's going to be a pragmatic approach against Liverpool? Because I think there were reports already, weren't there? I think Ten Hag wants to play a bit more aggressively, understandably, at Old Trafford. I think some of the players reportedly didn't quite like the idea of that. I think it doesn't fit with their sort of skill set. Yeah,
it depends who you play. So if he's going to stick with your Mcguire, your Martinez and everyone, you're going to have to play McTominay and Fred. And you're going to have to put Aaron Wan-Bissaka in and sit back and try and soak up pressure at home when this shouldn't be the way. But if you want to go for it, you have to if you bring Malacia in, Varane, Bailly, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, they can all do the job. So then you can afford to play Eriksen with Bruno if you want. But it's not so much of a problem. So it's one thing, you want to be totally soft in the middle, or do you want to be very strong defensively? It's up to Erik ten Hag, and hopefully now Casemiro jumping in, obviously the game after, then we might start seeing a bit more free-flowing football. And I'd really like to see what he does with Cristiano and Martial. because Martial needs to play. But is Cristiano going to stay in and Martial left maybe, and then Rashford get on the bench because he's not playing so well? But again, he knows that he plays better with Rashford and Martial. So it's a decision, it's a conundrum for Erik ten Hag to decide what's he going to do. But I believe he will start making the right decisions because he does not like getting battered like that. And he'll just continue doing the Ragnick. You know, if you want to continue with the same team, you're going to continue getting the same result. So that's what's going to happen. But let me quickly go through these messages that have come through comments. Liverpool wouldn't buy a 5'9" centre back from Ferdinand, Sylvester, Wes Brand, Vidic to Slabhead and Lindelof. Exactly. Don't want Martinez starting instead of Mcguire. Okay, that's fine. You can't play Martinez with anyone in the Premier League. Wowzers. That's your version. That's your view there as well, Garth.
Yeah. I won't lie. It is my view. Yeah.
Mcguire and Varane to start for me. You get who can stop Van Dijk if Liverpool get the corner or set piece. We have Varane, but why is he on the bench? Exactly. Steve K says, sorry, let me just, these last two. I'd play Martinez at left back. Makes sense to me. He is better than Shaw and more experienced than Malacia, especially for a game like Liverpool. Bit difficult, I don't know. McTominay short, 1-2 passes, okay, but easily lost the ball. 100%.
Yeah.
Centre backs are a joke, a no-win situation.
Yeah, you can tell Man United fans are happy at the moment, you know. Oh God, we're in trouble, man.
We'll get straight to the predicted lineups, really. So what we usually do is we say who we think is going to play due to whoever's looking like they're going to be fit. So Farrell, you take it away with who you think is going to start this game, especially the fact that, you know, Nunez is not playing. So do you think it's just going to be one switch and everyone else plays, or what's your ideal starting lineup for Monday?
I think it will be a few switches, actually. Alisson, as usual. Defence, for the most part, picks itself. Robertson, Van Dijk, Trent, Gomez coming in for Nat Phillips.
Okay.
I discussed this briefly with the lads at Empire, whether Fabinho should be dropped in the holding role, put Henderson at number 6, but I think Klopp will stick with Fabinho, add Henderson back in as his captain. Harvey Elliott was absolutely fantastic against Palace. I'd be very surprised if he's dropped. And then Diaz, Salah and Firmino coming in for Nunez.
Not bad. Is Matip injured? Or is he just, you don't want to play him? Or Matip?
I think Matip is still... Matip is still sort of struggling with something at the moment. And I think Gomez, again, was another one of those ones who came on, I think, the last half hour against Palace. And we just looked so much more structured. And, you know, I think it just makes sense. I think a lot of the thing, I think Liverpool fans are guilty of this themselves, or at least a certain section of Liverpool fans online, forget that Gomez was Van Dijk's chosen partner in our title-winning season. He's one of England's best centre halves. Yeah. You'd argue on his day probably England's best centre half.
He is. I mean, he's the best. Yeah, he just
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it will be Gomez, which is a fantastic situation for him when you've got like the likes of Konate that's still out. You know, you could really cement your place in this Liverpool back line if he plays his cards right, and then that completely changes. Because I think if you look last season, people were saying, what's the point in Gomez staying? You know, he's effectively your fourth choice centre back after Matip and Konate. But now we're in a situation where there's injuries, and there you go.
Yeah. I can't believe you're on it after what we just said, throwing your wealth of centre-back options in our face here, Farrell. That's disgraceful behaviour, mate.
Who am I saying? I've got to mention it. You know what I mean? You've got to mention it. I don't know how long this will last.
You're right, though, because Gomez, when I remember him, he got injured, and then it's unfortunate because Matip was playing so well, he couldn't even get back in. Yeah. And then they brought in Konate, and then he just jumped the pecking order, and it was like, wow. Gomez was that good, and now he's just sitting there. But now it's his chance again. And that's the thing that you like about Klopp, because when you've got a player, no matter what level he is, if he's playing well, he's going to keep him in there. And whoever's come out and injured, he's lost his place, he sits down and waits his turn till it's his turn. That's how it should be. And that's a properly run squad. As simple as that.
There's the early criticism of Liverpool. We didn't have depth. We had an unbelievable starting 11. Yeah. And the constant comparison was, well, look at City's bench, and that's still the case.
Yeah.
But to a lesser extent, you look at, And this is what makes Liverpool such a well-functioning unit. If you get an injury or performances drop, you've got a man behind you that's ready to jump in straight away and go, I can deliver, and I can deliver for you consistently. Once these injuries subside, which they will inevitably, despite the furore of the Liverpool season potentially already being over, Liverpool will have a really strong squad. I think everyone's sort of going, well, we missed Sadio Mane. We missed Sadio Mane after 2 draws. No, we're missing 10 players in the squad. We're missing 10 players, but including one of the best midfielders in the world, Thiago Alcantara. We've got Darwin Nunez suspended. Diogo Jota, who, again, should not be forgotten. 20-goal season striker and can do a lot better if he's consistent throughout the season as far as injuries are concerned. So many players there that are missing from the squad before we even need to start talking about the man that's left the building.
Wow.
What a team. My God, what a team.
Wasn't Arsenal going to go?
Jota was one of the signings of a long time, best signings in a long time for me, because I wasn't sure about it. I thought that was a bit of a misstep, but he has performed every time I've seen him, Diogo Jota, like literally every single time. What a player, man. Yeah.
It's just one of those that, you think, I've seen it so many times at Liverpool, we look like we're never, ever going to score in a game. And Jota is just one of those players. I think Sadio Mane was kind of like that, where he would just pop up for you and out of nowhere get you a goal. You just almost don't see it coming from him. You need that kind of player. Obviously, Nunez, to an extent, is very different to what we've got as far as being an out-and-out number 9, which we've not really seen at Liverpool for quite a while. But it's, having these players, again, are so important when you look at sort of the substitutions we were making against Fulham and Palace. And without these players, you sort of see Klopp bringing on Shimikaz and Gomez, and great players, but they're probably not going to be that man that's going to come on and get you something from nothing and then 3 points. So.
Yeah, well done, you guys, having a squad now.
Yeah. a common back room, a team that functions, and a manager that knows what you do. Yeah, it's fantastic for you.
It's not bad, isn't it?
It hurts. But anyway, Football Universe says, I think we should not have taken Eriksen. He is good, but he is old, so
I'm
not. We just have to use him correctly.
I'm not having that anyway. He doesn't get tired, I don't think.
I want him playing him ahead of Bruno this game. Well, to be honest, Casemiro is a good signing. All defensive midfield are below him, except Kimmich and Kante. Yeah, he's 30 though. That's the only problem I got. He's on the older side now, but he'll do a job for next year.
I think we're a little bit old school mindset there. But like back when I was a kid, 30 years old, your career was almost done. You know what I mean? But a defensive midfielder could easily go 35, 36 now, even in the Premier League. I think, yeah.
Look at Luka Modric.
Yeah, there you go.
36 now. I think we've got to adapt the mindset, isn't it? Liverpool signed Thiago when he was 29.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. You'd argue these kind of players. It's not so much that they will, how quickly they run, or that it's purely technical brilliance, and that can last well into your 30s, even in the Premier League. That's what you're buying ultimately.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. We just don't need to be overrun. So he needs to play where you don't go, oh my gosh. But like I say, when he's in there, we have to have the steel behind it, and then he will make a difference. But if you don't, they're just going to run past him too, and it'll be a problem. I like to see Malacia start, but if not, Martinez, of course. At least Ten Hag is try and play Eriksen as a pivot, 6-man, but totally failed. Then he's back to McTominay. Yeah, like you say, you pick the wrong defense and you can't put them there. We need a 3-goal start. Yeah, we need maybe a 5-goal start in this one. So,
that'd be nice.
Give Donny a shout for Monday. Yeah, that's Garth's one, isn't it? Garth was saying McTominay and Donny. Oh, Fred and Donny, wasn't you? But,
that was the last game. I completely changed it this time for Liverpool. Yeah.
Right. So let's get yours, then, Garth. What's your? Is this your starting lineup here? I'm gonna.
Typed it in.
Go on, talk me through what.
Is this the one? Yep, this is what I've gone with. I'm going Malacia, left back. I can't have Mcguire or Martinez at centre backs at the moment. Martinez, he's a good player, but this is what I was worried about him, is you throwing him into the Premier League, into the fire of the Premier League at 5'9". It ain't about his height for me. People get talking about height bias. It ain't just about that. It's also the weight and the strength of the man. Bottom line is, if you've got Nunes, not so much, because I don't know how tall is Nunes. Sorry, Farrell, do you know?
I think he's about 6.
6'2" or something.
He is like 6'1", 2. But anyway, but like a Haaland, 6'4" or whatever he is, like 13 stone, 14 stone, just muscling him. So I like, yes, I'm going for around and Bailly. Even though Bailly looks like he's on his way out, I'd still play him. Same with you. I'd play Aaron Wan-Bissaka, like you said, all day long, because Dalot he can't defend as well as he can, and Liverpool are just so good down the flanks. It feels like I don't watch a lot of Liverpool because I'm a Man United fan, obviously, but it does feel like they're so good down the flanks. Martinez playing CDM for me in this game, taking the Casemiro role this game, so we can set up the team for when Casemiro comes in, just slot straight in that position. The next midfielder, it's whoever you want in there. Like, you can make a case for Eriksen, you can make a case for McTominay. I'm going Fred because he's the best out of them in the last 8 months for me at Man United through the end of last season and pre-season. Again, you can make a case for Bruno or Eriksen in the AEMC, but I'm not playing Ronaldo, so I'm going back to Bruno. Got Nacho on the left flank because I don't want to see Rashford out there. You could play Alanga, you could play Ahmad, but I want to see Garnacho after I saw him for 40 minutes in one game and he excited me so much. Martial through the centre, Sancho on the right. So they had a big one. No Ronaldo through the centre. Yeah.
Wow. I'm going to quickly walk through my team. My team is here. I've got De Gea in goal, Malacia to bring that tenaciousness on the left and that front-footedness that you need. I think Martinez and Varane is the future defence that we're going to see. So I want to see that put straight in. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, we know his defensive capabilities. I want him to be told to sit there. Just like Ajax Daily Blind, he used to sit there and defend and not have to go forward, and the right side went forward. I think we should do the opposite, where Malacia gets himself forward and then he tucks in as a free, and then you can leave him to just don't get forward. Don't need to bother. There's no point with his output going forward. So sit back there, defend the job. McTominay is sitting there because we don't have anyone else really that can actually sit and try and break things up. It's the only reason why he's playing. And then I put Fred in there because he's got the energy, and when he's playing a bit more forward, he's very, very good. So I'd put him there. I won't put Bruno and Eriksen together. No. I just don't think you've got enough legs there to make it work, especially against the Liverpool. I think he would do well. And Eriksen, just in the hole where he normally plays, it was a Bruno or Eriksen job.
Yeah.
Put Eriksen straight in there. And then Martial comes back in for Rashford because Rashford's quiet. I know I had that little thought in my mind. Rashford is going to play well if he's playing, but I'm thinking about it realistically. Is Cristiano going to drop to the bench or is Rashford going to drop to the bench? It's more likely to be a Rashford dropping to the bench and Martial coming on off the left. Probably is. He's much better as a left-sided player anyway for me. And Ronaldo down the middle to provide the goals and Sancho on the right. I think that there would actually do themselves some justice. I'm not sure they will win, but I could see them being capable of winning with a team like that. And definitely Bailly would be my first to come on if Martinez is getting over by anyone. Garth's comments are true. So
yeah, no, listen. Well, I dropped Rashford and Ronaldo, but I can see I just see someone here in the comments. Would you ever think of this out on the wing? I can't see it personally, but
10 years ago, yeah, but not anymore. Not anymore. Garnacho, definitely love to see him play, get involved on the pitch. This is Liverpool game, mate. You can't put him in a game like this, I don't think. I think you need to let him come on in a game where you're winning 2-0 or 3-0 at some point. You don't want him start.
Didn't Martial and Rashford both burst onto the scene against Liverpool?
Yeah, but we didn't have any players. He was the player.
We ain't got any players now, mate. We ain't got no players.
Martial's fit, so you're going to put him ahead of him? Or
yeah. No, but this is if you don't play Ronaldo, is what I'm talking about, obviously. Yeah, Ronaldo's playing. This is my dream lineup, but Ronaldo's playing, obviously, you know what I mean?
No, McTominay, I'm shocked. To be honest, if I'm coach, I will play Ronaldo as winger. Okay, serious question. Should we start Heaton or at least think about it? And then you've got, does Farrell want Jude Bellingham at Liverpool? Ooh, that's a good one.
That's got to be the easiest question you've ever been asked, surely.
It's an absolute no-brainer. You'd be a fool. You're looking at a player that's verging on being a generational, that bracket of kind of generational talent. Yeah. Absolutely want him at Liverpool. If he's willing to come. I think the problem is we've moved on from being the club in terms of being, will they spend the money? I think the problem isn't that Liverpool will spend the money because Liverpool were prepared to spend the money to get Aurelien Tchouameni before he went to Real Madrid. The problem is wage demands and sort of what he's looking for there. As long as it fits in the bracket, and of course, crucially, the player wants to come to Liverpool over Real Madrid or another European heavyweight. I think the conversation will probably be between Madrid and Liverpool as the top two potential sides that are going to go for him. No question about it. If you're looking, Klopp's only in the business for players that are going to genuinely improve the side. Hence why we haven't made an emergency signing, even though you've got Keita just returning from illness. Curtis Jones is out. Thiago Alcantara is out. Liverpool could sign. We've seen this when we had the defensive crisis 2 years ago, and we brought in names are escaping me, Ben Davies and Ojan Kabak. Ojan Kabak. Liverpool, it doesn't benefit Liverpool to sign an emergency signing because no one's available that's capable of improving the squad. The question, of course, is if Madrid do decide. I don't think Madrid will go for Bellingham this window anyway. I think the question's about whether they go for him now they've lost Casemiro, but two completely different players. I think he'd be bulking up numbers rather than genuinely, like for like. I think it'll be interesting.
Does he change your style at all, Bellingham, or does he slot straight into the Klopp system, Jude Bellingham?
He goes straight in. It looked to me.
No, I don't mean to the team. I mean, does it change the style of play from Liverpool? You know what I mean? Because obviously, I presume it'd be Henderson that he comes in to replace the more than Thiago, wouldn't it? So
absolutely. I think. I mean, the only player you'd argue Liverpool changed their style slightly when Thiago came in to adapting. We had to sort of compromise to a certain extent when you're bringing in a player of that quality in midfield. I think it will probably be the other way around. He'll have to benefit our system. He's bordering on generational, but he's not by no means the complete overall package as Thiago was when he came in from Bayern Munich. Everyone remembers that the final performance in the Champions League where Thiago basically ran the game. He's brilliant, but he's just not at that quite level yet. I think it'll be very much, Klopp generally said with the signings that come into Liverpool, you've got to fit into our system, not the other way around. Hence why we're so selective about our signings.
And the other thing is, I don't think Real Madrid have got any more space in that midfield to buy anyone else. So it's probably the free hit for Liverpool or a City or something like that.
They haven't retake Casemiro. If we take Casemiro off their ends, then that's a perfect little space for Bellingham to fit in. Basically, I don't want you Bellingham going Liverpool. I can't have it anywhere else. Goodness me, I'll let him go Arsenal or Man City over Liverpool.
Right. So the question remains now. What's your result prediction? Me and Garth, we got something going on where when we see the starting lineup, we're going to say what we think's going to happen and then who we think's going to score as well. We've got a little game going on, but
we ain't done very well at it so far.
Yeah, we're both on 0 points after 2 games. But Farrell, what do you think the score's going to be Monday at Old Trafford? Do
you know what? I was speaking on the Empire of the Cop podcast, and I was firm. I thought 2-1, would be a relatively sort of close scoreline. But I'll tell you what, you're both giving me a lot more confidence than I initially had.
That's not good.
So I'm tempted to change that up a little bit and go for. I'll tell you what, I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going to call for a 2-1. Anything else is a bonus, and I think Diaz will get on the score sheet again. And I think. I think a Salah goal is called for as well at this point. I think he'll be aching to get one against United. I think a close one. How about both of you? You're predicting.
Well, if they go with a similar team to what I've got there, I can see it being more of a close game, 2-2, 2-1, 3-2 either way. Personally, because it's still Man United Liverpool. Even in the doldrums that we're in at the moment, like the depths of the pit that we're in at the moment, it still comes down to Man United Liverpool. If I see what I saw against Brentford, though, mate. I mean, I seriously could be talking a cricket score. In all reality, and that's not even being hype. That's not hyperbole. Like, if I saw the effort I saw for the first 35 minutes against Brentford, against Liverpool, and Liverpool were on it, even with your depleted squad, wow, we could be 5-0 down at half time. We really could, man. So, but I'm gonna, 3-2 Man United. I'm gonna stick there. 3-2 United. Yeah, that's what I'm going with. We ain't getting a clean sheet. That much is for sure, mate. There's no way that's happening.
The thing is, it depends who starts. If you see Shaw, Mcguire,
exactly,
you're dead. You're dead.
Yeah.
You're gonna be in trouble. But if you see more of the players that we know that should be playing, we're gonna have a different game. And it's hard for me to say. I like to look at it because I start imagining what's gonna happen in the game. So I can't imagine it until I see that lineup. And then I see you guys line up as well. Then I can try and give something that I really think is going to happen. Because I could just sit here and go, yeah, we're going to win. Yeah, we're going to win 2-0. But it just doesn't feel right for me. So that's why I've said, let's make something new up. But look, if we stick with the similar players that we had, we're definitely losing. And we're probably going to lose 3-4, maybe 5, I would say. Maybe 5-0, 5-1 maybe. But if I see Martial in that side, I think it's going to transform our attack. So I think we're going to definitely have a very tight game. We could still lose it. And like I'm saying, I'm not going to give the result yet. Obviously, I would like to see us win. But at this moment in time, I'm going to guess we're going to draw if we see Martial in the side. If Mcguire's in the side, we're going to lose. Is that good enough?
Basically, yeah. If we see Shaw, Mcguire, Dalot, Fred and McTominay, then I can't. It hasn't worked in 5 years. I can't see why it's going to suddenly start working now against the one of the best teams in literally the world. One of the best. I can't get it out.
Come on. You know you want to say it. You know you want to say it.
I can't. Yeah, they're one of the best teams in the world. They really are. Liverpool now. They're one of the best teams in the world, and so we'd get devastated if we've got the. That's what I'm saying. Same mentality against Brentford. We're getting devastated. So
yeah, they're on fire. They are on fire. But look, it's we've come to the end of the show, and we're just looking forward to this Monday evening, 8 p.m. Make sure you're there.
You're looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. Seriously, I don't mess about when it comes to Man United. I love watching United, obviously, before the kickoff. As soon as the kickoff happens, I'm like, why the hell am I watching this game? So,
I just want to watch Match of the Day once. Just once. That's all I want. Just once when Man United haven't lost in the last year and a half. And it's Monday night, so if we do win, I don't get to see Match of the Day. It's a letdown all over the place, mate. So.
Then his last one's here. Steve K says 1-1. And Exhibit's got his team here. So what we got? Ian Goal, Varane, Wan-Bissaka, Malacia, Garner, Savage, Ericsson, Garnacho, Ronaldo, Sancho, Martial, Ahmad as super subs. Okay, not bad. Mad. Okay, it's out there. It's out there. Not bad. Ryan Part says 5-0.
I'm sure he's a Man United fan as well, isn't he?
I don't know what he's playing at. Ryan, chill out, mate.
I can actually see where Exhibit's coming from quickly though, with the Garner, Savage in the centre, because they're the only ones we saw with a bit of bite in pre-season. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't personally, because you don't want to ruin these young players for getting tonked by Liverpool. But still, I can see where he's coming from.
Yeah, but look, it's been fun. Hopefully, it's more fun on Monday for us, not for you. But thanks for coming on the show, Farrell. It's been great. And Garth, thanks for coming on the show.
Always a pleasure, mate.
Stay safe and wash your hands.